Hello. Welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Nan, your podcast host and your single parent mentor and coach. And today I have a bit of a fun episode. And I haven't done anything like this before, so I'm a little bit excited. And I'm answering your questions. You've submitted your questions and today I am answering them. So for those of you that follow me on social media, whether that be on Instagram or Facebook, I think even maybe on Threads, I did throw it out over there, and I also put out in my email newsletter for those of you that do subscribe. So I put it out there. I did a call out. I said, who has a question that would like me to answer it on the show? Now, all of these have remained anonymous, which is totally fine, and I respect that. Not everyone wants to know or wants other people to know what they're going through and where they're at, which is fine, which is like what my coaching is all about. It's completely confidential. Nobody knows anything. So I respect that. Everyone's remained anonymous, and let's dive straight in. Go grab yourself a drink. Go grab yourself something to chill out with, because it is a bit of a lengthy episode. So go and get yourself cozy and let me answer your questions.
Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So let's dive in.
Okay, so I've got your questions here. I've got my coffee next to me, and I will promise to try not to sound robotic as I read these, so bear with me. Okay, so the first question: how do you get rid of the shame after a breakup? I just feel like such a failure, like I've let my kids down. I know leaving was the right thing, but I still feel embarrassed and guilty, like everyone's judging me for it. Now, this is a very common scenario, and there is so much judgment and stigma on this whole concept of being a single parent. And that is the most common thing when people first become a single parent, or we're in the process of that happening. I can't because I'm embarrassed, or I can't because I've failed my kids, or I failed my family, or I can't because I'm ashamed. I don't want to have to tell anyone. That belief is it's very outdated. It really is. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say we should just treat divorce and breaking up like it's nothing. No, that's definitely not what I'm saying. But I am saying it is okay to end a relationship if it's not right, if it's not healthy. And I do not agree with forcing a relationship to work just based on society's expectations. If you have done everything you can to make it work and it still didn't work, then there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be guilty of. And really, when you're going through a breakup, the last thing you need to be focused on is what other people are thinking of you. And that's easier said than done. I understand. But when you're focusing so much on what they're going to think of you and what they might say, it's just going to add so much more weight to your world with what you're already going through. So try not to put your attention on what other people might think, okay? Because they may not even be thinking that. They may be respectful of what you're going through. They may want to come and help you and support you. They may have even seen all the red flags in your relationship, but they didn't want to say it because they didn't think it was their place to say it. That happens a lot where people all of a sudden are like, I saw it coming. I knew there was something not right here, but I didn't say it because it wasn't my place to say anything. So don't feel like everyone's going to think the worst of you. Don't feel like everyone's going to judge you or think, oh my gosh, they've failed. There might be some people that do that, but quite often they're not your people, or they're not the people in your inner circle. They're not the people that you need to depend on and rely on for support. So if people are judging you or questioning you, then honestly, just shut it down. And if they're people that you're not that close to, then you don't even really need to engage in it. You don't even really need to respond. But if it's people in your close-knit circle, then shut it down. Say, do you know what? I don't need that feedback right now. I've got enough on my plate, and you trying to make me feel guilty for my breakup is the last thing I need. If you have done the best you can to make that relationship work with your kids' other parent, then that's all you could have done. It's like that old saying, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. Is that how it goes? Did I just stuff that up? I don't know. But anyway, you get what I'm saying, right? You can tell them they need to put in the effort, but if they're not going to do it, then it's not going to make a difference. And it takes two people to make a relationship work. So we need to normalize that breaking up or a relationship ending is nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be guilty of, and it's nothing to be embarrassed of. It's happened. It's hurtful. It's sad. It takes a while to get through, but don't feel like you need to be embarrassed or ashamed by it, by what other people might be thinking. And quite often, if people are judging you for saying that, they're usually the ones that are having the problems in their relationships. And actually, as I just say this, I was just listening to a podcast this morning, and it was on a totally different topic. It was actually related to manifestation, if anyone's into that world. And she was actually talking about when she was in her marriage and she was listening to people breaking up and going through their divorce. And she said she was judging them like they were the worst person in the world. But the thing is, she's now divorced. And she said, now that I'm here as someone that's been divorced and now I'm a single mum, I totally get it. My anger, my resentment when I was judging people going through their breakup, that's because that's what I wanted to do, because I wasn't happy in my relationship. And it's quite eye-opening, isn't it? For someone to get through that and recognize that I was judging people going through their breakup like they'd failed because I knew my marriage wasn't working and I knew that's what I wanted, but I wasn't mentally and emotionally ready to take that leap. So quite often when people are judging you, it's because it's a reflection of where they're at in their life, not where you're at. So don't take on anyone else's emotions when you're going through your breakup. Focus on you and where you're at. Okay, here's another one that many of you will probably relate to. My ex blames me for literally everything. It doesn't matter what happens. It's somehow always my fault. I am so over it. And I feel like I can just never get a break. It's never ending. How do you deal with someone like this? Okay, I'm going to go back to one of my probably most commonly used lines here. And that is to remember, you cannot change them. You can only change how you choose to react. So if your ex is going to constantly villainize you, if your ex is going to constantly blame you for things, and they're going to make you be the villain in their story, please understand that's their issue and it hurts. I understand. I've been there. So I know what it's like to be in those shoes and be the villain when you're doing everything you can for your kids and to just show up every day and they're here just constantly kicking you down. It's a real shit feeling. So I get it. But the less you engage, the easier it is for you. So when they keep nagging you, they keep coming back, disengage. Do not respond. Do not react. Keep your focus on only communicating about what's necessary. And I understand it may get to a point because it just gets so much where you're just like, right, I've had enough. And you just want to rip into them and show them how pissed off you are. Please remember that does not help and it doesn't resolve anything. So if you have an ex that's constantly villainizing you, constantly blaming you for things, making you be the bad guy, just let them go along with their story. Because the real people, kind of like what I said answering the last question, the real people that are there for you, your people, your support network, they're not going to believe their lies. They're going to be there for you. They're going to have your back no matter what. And do you know what? If they're making you out to be a bad parent, if they're making you out to say that you've done this and you've done that, that truth comes out eventually. If you just stand your ground and focus on you being the best parent you can be, because eventually everyone will see that anyway. The truth will always come out in some way, shape or form. And sometimes it does take a long It's a long wait. It's a long haul. But when you're just sticking to your guns, when you're just showing up as your best version of you, then that's all that matters. And then if they're trying to blame you for being a crappy parent, people will see that you're not a crappy parent. You're there. You're showing up. You're doing the best you can. So just focus on you. Focus on your time with your kids and focus on what you control, and don't engage with them. Don't stoop to their level. And that is exactly why I created that texting guidebook, because it has these exact cut and paste responses for when you're in these tricky situations and you're so worked up, because it's not easy to just cut off from overnight. You can't just say, that's it, I'm done, I'm going to just stop responding, because you're still going to get worked up. It's still going to rattle you. But doing these cut and paste messages, it takes that emotion out of it, and eventually it just gets easier. So in short, just don't focus on them and don't focus on what they're doing. Let them be. Let them do what they want to do. Don't stoop to their level. Next question. We just can't stop fighting. Every time we talk, it turns into an argument. I'm honestly so tired of the drama, but there's always something. How do you co-parent when you just can't get along? And that's the thing. When you start co-parenting, you're co-parenting with someone who you are just going to keep butting heads with, because you're broken up with someone. This person is your ex. This person is someone that you don't really want to have anything to do with. So whilst you're trying to heal and get over the breakup, you've got to cooperate and co-parent with this person. It is a tough slog. It is really hard to manage that. And that's why so many relationships are so toxic, because those emotions that come up from that breakup, a lot of people don't know how to manage that. And a lot of people don't know how to put those breakup emotions to the side and just focus on what the main issue here, which is the kids. And that's sadly why so often the kids become little pawn pieces and a way to kind of, for one parent to win over the other parent. And it's quite sad. But really, to answer this question, how do you get along? You've got to learn to let go of your breakup emotions. You've got to learn to let go of whatever is triggering you from your ex. What are they saying? What are they doing? Why is it bothering you? And when you learn to let go of all these emotions and everything that's getting you upset, that's getting you worked up, when you learn to completely emotionally detach yourself, then you have no reason to get worked up. You have no reason to fight with them. And it's kind of similar to my scenario, which I've kind of shared a bit throughout the years on my podcast. But my breakup was extremely, extremely toxic. A lot of fighting. I even smashed my phone at one point. I was so worked up. But now it's normal. It's amicable. We get along. We text every now and then when it's related to my daughter. There's no issues. There's no fighting. There's no drama. It is what it is for my daughter. And I know what I think of him. I know who he is as a person. But at the end of the day, it's not for me. He's not in my life for me. He's in my life for my daughter. And that's what it's about. Completely detaching yourself. So when he messages or when he calls, there's no, what do I say? I don't get all worked up. I don't get all in a fluster. I don't get all worried about how I'm going to respond. It's just like, and that's what it's about. It's about completely letting go of any attachment you have to them. And I see it a lot when people say, but I have let go. I have moved on. But then you hear from your ex and all of a sudden you're getting worked up and you're getting angry. Well, no, you haven't let go. You haven't moved on. Because even though you may be getting angry at them, you're still holding on. You're getting angry because you're holding on to some of those emotions. If you had completely let go, then you wouldn't get angry because it wouldn't bother you. And that's the point. And once again, it's not about letting them win. It's about letting go of them, letting go of that emotional baggage so you can move forward for you. So that's how you get to a place where you stop fighting. You get rid of all that emotional baggage from the breakup. You learn to let go of whatever is holding you back, any of those emotions that were raised in the breakup, and that's what triggers you and that's what sets you off every time they message or call. And it's about learning to let that go, and that's how you can co-parent without the fighting, without the drama. Let go of that emotional baggage from the breakup. And that's most commonly what I do in my coaching sessions. We go through that to help you let go of that emotional baggage so you can move forward. So you're not clinging to your ex. You're not constantly getting worked up by things that they say and do. You're moving on. You're having a happy life. And that's what you want. And it's letting go of them and letting go of the emotions that they bring up in you. Next question. I've got 100% care of my kids and I feel like I'm about to lose it. I don't get a second to myself. I love them, but I'm just so burnt out. How do you find time for yourself when you've got no help? You've got to actually ask for it. And that's something that very few people like to do. There are many reasons behind that. Some feel like they're failing. If they have to ask for help, they're not good enough, and they just think if they have to ask for help, then someone's going to respond and say, see, you couldn't do it on your own. They feel like they're inconveniencing other people. And it's just that common mentality of, oh, I'll be right. I can do it. I'll manage. But realistically, can you? Because if you're at a point where you're starting to feel like you're about to explode, you're at breaking point, kind of like what this question is suggesting here, then you need to learn to ask for help. It's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you need some support. We all need a village. It's that whole saying, it takes a village. Actually, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to mess that one up too. But I think you guys know where I'm going with that one as well. You need your support. Don't be too proud to ask for help. So if you've got your kids 100% of the time and you're struggling and you need some support, tip 1, ask for it. Because you may be thinking, well, why can't someone just offer it? Why can't someone just help me out? They can see how much I'm struggling. People don't very rarely do people just come out and offer it, because sometimes they may think they're interfering. And quite often, people don't read your mind. They don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And especially if they're not a single parent themselves, they don't know how tough it is. They don't exactly know what you're going through. So ask for that support. Use any other like creches or vacation care or kids activity groups. Use them. Like school holidays, there's so many full day kids activities and sport groups, and there's so many things out there these days. Use them. Another thing that I'm big on doing is getting up early and doing something. Getting up early and ride the exercise bike. At nighttime, do a face mask. At nighttime, do something for yourself. Do it when the kids are in bed. There's always a way to make something work during your lunch break. And depends on what kind of work you do. You may have time off when the kids are at school. Use them. You may work from home. That's an excellent opportunity to be able to find ways to make time for yourself. So it's all about thinking outside the square. Can you get someone to help with school pickup 1 or 2 days a week? And then maybe you can tag team their kids on the other days. So it gives you a couple of days off a week, and it makes a huge difference. It might give you that little bit of extra time for yourself to do something. So it is very important to be able to ask for help. If you're at that point where you've had to ask this question and you're feeling like you are just run down and you're exhausted, ask for help. Reach out to your parents, friends, family. Get them to help you in any way they can. Do online shopping instead of walking around the supermarket for hours with your kids. Think of ways that can cut time and not just thinking, oh, I've got no help. I can't do this. Do you have kids that are old enough to babysit younger ones? Do you have neighbors and friends in the street that can help? It is hard, yes, and it's not something you need to rely on as a permanent basis. But every now and then, it's a great way to start. It's a great way to actually start getting some time for yourself. Use your family, use your friends, start asking for support, and start looking for different ideas where you can do things online, or where you can maybe outsource a cleaner or outsource different services that you would normally use for the home where you would normally do it. And it takes that time off you. So I get it. Some things do cost more money, but there are little things that you can do. But again, it's about thinking outside the square and not being too proud to ask for help. Okay, this next question here. I feel like I've completely lost myself. I used to know who I was, and now I'm just a mum. I don't even know what I enjoy anymore. How do you start finding yourself again? And it's easy to get caught up in that whole mundane routine of life, isn't it? where it's just work, kids, work, kids, work, kids. It's like, hey, what about you? What about me here? What do I like doing? But if you're in this place where you're exactly like this person here, or you are this person that has asked this question, I want you to ask yourself, are you doing anything for you, or are you constantly neglecting your needs to do stuff for your kids? Are you constantly saying yes, 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 yes to your kids and never saying yes to you? And that's what's important. You need to start realizing that you can say no to your kids sometimes. You can say, sorry kids, we're not doing that today. Mum wants to do this, or dad wants to do this. It is okay to prioritize you every now and then, because as I always say, you can't keep going on an empty tank. So if you're feeling like you've lost who you are, start by remembering what used to light you up. What did you used to do before being a mum or before being a dad? I know this question's from a mum, but what did you used to do before that you used to really enjoy doing, that used to light you up? What were your passions before being a parent? And if you don't know what they are, or you didn't really have any, it's time to find some. It's time to find something that lights you up. And how do you do that? You start getting involved in certain activities. You start going out and trying new things. You start going out and meeting new friends. You start setting goals. That's a big thing. I love setting goals. Having my little to-do list of things to do, things that I want to achieve, things that I want to get done. Have some goals, because it feels so good when you have your little goal list and you can look back on it and go, yes, I've actually done that and that and that. And that makes you feel fulfilled. That makes you feel like, I'm actually achieving something in life. I'm not just being a mum or a dad. So it comes down to finding what lights you up, finding what you enjoy doing, making time to get out there and try new things if you don't know what you enjoy doing. And most importantly, learning to start saying no to your kids so you have time to actually do stuff for you. Because quite often we get in that habit, as I was just saying, you keep saying yes to everything with your kids and all of a sudden there's no time left for you to do anything. But on the flip side of that, for those of you who do co-parent and have your other parent on board helping out, then you can use that time when the kids are with the other parent for you to get out and try new things, for you to get out and meet new people, try new hobbies, do something that you enjoy. And for me, it's my daily beach walk. I love it. That's one thing that really just makes me feel good. It clears my head and it's a great way. I won't say to start the day because I don't always do it in the morning, depending on what my day looks like. But that's just one thing that I do for me on a daily basis. Sometimes it's only a short 20-minute walk. Sometimes it's an hour plus. It just depends on my schedule and what I got available. But that's something. And it's just finding something for you that you enjoy doing where you're not doing it for anyone else. You're doing it for you because it makes you feel good. And that's how you start to find you again. Start finding what lights you up and what you enjoy doing. Okay, my ex has already moved on and it's really messing with my head. I know I don't even want him back, but it still hurts seeing him happy while I'm here trying to put myself back together. How do I get past this? That's a real kick in the guts, that one, isn't it? It's really adding salt to the wound. Here you are trying to get over the breakup, trying to process everything, trying to adjust to co-parenting and the kids going to their house. And in the next minute, they've got a new partner living this perfectly Brady Bunch life. And you're like, what the hell? What's just happened? Give me time to get through the breakup. But realistically, they're not going to move on in the same time frame as you. Wouldn't it be nice? It doesn't happen, unfortunately. So it is quite common, though, to see one person in a breakup move on very quickly. And it's not a reflection of you. Usually those people that move on very quickly are the ones that just don't want to deal with the breakup. They're the ones that don't want to deal with any of the emotions and any of the heartbreak that come with it. Let's just move on, find another person, pretend like nothing happened, and I'm good, I'm fine. Got my happy life again. Now, on paper, that's all great, but let's be real. We know that they're still holding on to everything from the breakup. They've still got all those emotions and everything going on. And at some point, they're just going to come out and erupt and go through those same things again. Nothing's healed, nothing's fixed, nothing's changed with them. They've just gone from one person to the next. They're not going to do anything different. So if they're gone straight into a new relationship with someone else, and your relationship failed and there were things about them that you didn't like, then they're just going to go into this new relationship doing exactly the same thing. But it doesn't make it easier for you, does it? It still hurts. So please realize, one, just because they have a new partner, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It doesn't mean you can never find a partner. It doesn't mean you have failed. It just means that they've quickly moved on. And that's all it means. And it's very easy to overanalyze this whole scenario. What's wrong with me? What could I have done differently? How could I have changed things? How could I have made it work? Don't overanalyze it, because you're not going to get any answers and it's not going to make you feel any better. Accept it for what it is. They've got a new partner because they don't want to deal with anything. And that's pretty much summing it up in a nutshell. So it's not a reflection of you. And that's the biggest thing to remember when you're in this scenario. It's got nothing to do with you as a person, you as a parent, you as a partner. It's just about them choosing to not be able to deal with life on their own. And quite often it's easier to get a new partner and move forward with them, helping them out through life. Some people, it's scary doing life on your own. Some people, they just don't know how to do life on their own. They've gone up with their parents, they've moved with a partner and possibly their husband or wife, and they've gone on for another relationship. Their whole life, they've been with someone. They don't know how to do life on their own. And some people, as I've said in one of the first questions here, they were embarrassed about being on their own. Maybe they're embarrassed, they think they've failed the relationship, so they just want to jump back straight into a new relationship to prove that they haven't failed. So that again, even if that is their reason for jumping into a new relationship, it's not a reflection of you. So that's the biggest thing to remember. You haven't done anything wrong. So you need to just look at it and think, is that the person I wanted to be with? And realistically, if it was, you would still be together. Okay, there's a reason you guys broke up. As hurtful and as hard as it is, it's happened, and it's happened for a reason. But the fact that they've moved on has nothing to do with you. That's their choice, and that's where they're at. You've chosen to take your time. You've chosen to let go of those breakup emotions. You've chosen to heal and move forward in a healthy way. They're just handling their breakup in their own way. And whether that's the right or the wrong way, that's for them to decide. But everyone has their own way of grieving. Everyone has their own way of processing breakup emotions. And for some people, it's by choosing to not deal with it at all. So when it hurts seeing your ex happy with someone else, don't focus on them and what they're doing. Okay? Just because they're happy or just because he's happy with his new partner doesn't mean you can't be happy. You need to remember, just because he has a partner and he appears to be happy, that does not mean that you can't be happy. You can still be happy and single. Just because you have a partner doesn't mean that's the only way for you to be happy now. So when you're seeing your ex looking happy with a new partner, that is your cue to start making yourself happy. That is your cue to start focusing on your world and doing things that make you feel good. Because you don't need a partner to make you happy and to make you feel better. Yes, it is nice. But it's not the be-all and end-all. The right person will come at the right time, but you don't need another person just to make you happy. You need to be happy in yourself, and you need to start living a life that makes you happy, and that's what it's about. So if your ex is looking happy, then you go out and you be happy too. You do your things that make you happy. Okay, next one. I feel like I'm doing everything on my own and no one really gets it. My friends are all in relationships and it's just lonely. How do you deal with that constant feeling of being alone? So the biggest thing I talk about when single parenting is you have a choice. There's two ways you can look at this. You can be lonely or you can be alone. And you also, when you become a single parent, your friend group quite often changes. And it's not done in a nasty way. You just tend to resonate more, or you tend to gravitate more, that's probably a better word, to people that are going through something similar to what you are. So when your closest friends have always been people in marriages or people that are in relationships, then it's very common to step back a little bit, because being around those people just tends to rub salt in the wound of what you had. It's that constant reminder of that happy family life that you don't have now. And when you are feeling lonely and you're seeing that, this is your time to make new friends and also enjoy your alone time. Just because you may not have that partner, it doesn't mean you have to sit at home and be lonely. It's okay to get out and do things on your own. It is a great thing. It is so empowering when you get that confidence in yourself to actually want to get out and do things on your own, to go out for coffee on your own, to go out for lunch on your own, to go out to the movies on your own and take that big leap and go out on a holiday on your own. These are big steps and there's no reason why anyone can't do this. But if you're focused on, I'm lonely because I don't have a partner and all my friends do, then you're not going to find the good in your situation. But when you actually get to a place where you build your confidence up and you actually slowly start to get out and you slowly start to enjoy your time on your own, you stop looking at it like I'm lonely and you see it as I'm alone, but hey, I'm happy. And that's the big thing. And that start when you first become a single parent, it can be very lonely. And it is very lonely, especially when the kids start to go to the other parents. And it's okay to have those quiet nights at home where you just chill out and unwind. But if it becomes a constant thing where you're just constantly feeling lonely, then it's up to you to start doing something different to change that. It's up to you to start finding ways to do things that make you feel good. It's up to you to start finding your people. There are so many social groups and group activities that you see online that you can just join. Start doing these things. It's about getting out and doing things and having fun and using that time where you do feel lonely to actually get out and do these things that light you up. So all these questions really in some way, shape or form, they all link together because it's all really related to living your best life and just finding what you really enjoy. So instead of being lonely and feeling lost, find something in that time. Give yourself some direction. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Go like what I just said in that previous question. Start getting some goals and find your passions. Find what lights you up. What do you want to do? You don't have to be lonely just because you don't have a partner. You can be alone and still live a very happy life. The choice is how you choose to look at it. Okay, so I'm trying not to drag the answers on too long here. Every time I set a boundary, my ex tells me I'm being controlling or difficult. Then I feel guilty and end up backing down. How do you stand your ground without feeling like the bad guy? Okay, so it's important to remember when you start setting boundaries, especially with your ex, they're not going to like it. And quite often boundaries make people feel uncomfortable. And even if you're approaching it in a healthy way, like you're not being confrontational, you're not being aggressive, you're not being rude, but quite often, if people aren't used to you standing up for yourself and they're not used to you having a voice, then it's going to make them feel uncomfortable. So as long as you're doing it in a healthy way, as long as you're not being aggressive and controlling in the way that you're setting your boundaries, then you have nothing to worry about. And if they're making you feel bad for that, then that's because they're not used to seeing that. And quite often this happens in scenarios where you were in a relationship with someone that did walk all over you. They did treat you like a doormat. And you've come out, you're now a single parent, and you're finally learning to speak up for yourself. You're finally learning to set boundaries. And they're like, hold on, who's this person? I'm not used to seeing this. And you may not be doing anything wrong at all. You may be doing exactly what they're doing, but they're just like, I don't like this. I'm not used to seeing this. And so that's why they're reacting. They're not comfortable with you speaking up for yourself. It's easier for them to deal with you when they can get their way. It's easier for them to deal with someone that just goes along with everything, that doesn't question things, that just does everything they say. That's easier for them, isn't it? But now you're not doing that. You're speaking up for yourself because you know you deserve better. And they're like, I don't like it. I don't like it. So if that happens, please realize if you're handling it in a healthy way and you know deep down that the way you're approaching it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, then don't feel guilty. They're just not used to seeing this side of you and they don't like it. And quite often when it happens, they will get triggered by it, but just stand your ground. Know your worth. Know that, no, you know what? I'm standing up for myself and I'm standing up for my kids. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not backing down. Okay? And that's what it's about. Just knowing your worth, knowing that you have the confidence to speak up for yourself. Be proud of you that you're making this step. Be proud of yourself that you're actually starting to set boundaries, and don't cave in. Don't back down. Just keep going with what you're doing. And if they start calling you controlling or anything else, then that goes back to that villainizing question when they're accusing you of things that you're. Let them say what they want to say. You know you're not doing anything wrong, and that's the main thing here. That's what you need to remember. Just keep setting those boundaries and keep standing your ground, and don't back down because it might get uncomfortable for them, because that's what it is. It's uncomfortable for them. They don't like it. Keep going, and good on you for standing your ground and setting those boundaries. Okay, so just a few more. This one here. I'm scared to even think about dating again. I don't trust anyone, and honestly, I'm just too tired for that crap, but I don't want to be alone forever. How do you know when you're ready? Okay, so the big thing here, there's no timeline. There's never a timeline, but it's always good to give yourself a bit of time when you've gone to a breakup just to really step back, process it all, deal with everything, get yourself in a better headspace. But when you're scared to date, and when you've admitted here that you don't trust anyone, the biggest thing I can take away from this, or I can suggest from this, is you need to focus on building trust in yourself. You can't trust other people if you're not trusting yourself and your decisions. And it sounds pretty simple. Oh, of course I trust myself. But quite often you see it when people want to make decisions like, oh, I'm not sure. Should I do that? I'm not sure. Should I do this? I don't know. Just like in this question, I don't know if I'm ready. Am I ready to date? You've got to learn to start trusting your choices. Start believing in yourself. Start saying, yeah, I am ready. I'm going to give this a go. It's about knowing your worth and knowing that you can get out there and you can trust what happens. And it's also knowing that you're confident enough to handle situations that may arise that may not go down well. Because let's be honest, it's going to happen in the dating world. Not everything is going to be butterflies and roses. You will come across some dates and some people that aren't just going to be, they may be quite toxic, let's put it that way. And when that happens, you don't want to go, well, that's it, dating's fucked, I'm out. You want to know that you're confident enough in yourself to handle those situations and go, okay, that's just them. That's not a reflection of me. I'm just going to keep going. And that's what's important. So trusting yourself, trusting that when something goes wrong, you know in yourself that you can handle it effectively. You're not going to be pushed another 20 steps backwards because you meet someone that's not right. All of a sudden you start dating someone and then you break up and then you just think, oh, see, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to find anything. And then again, you're 20 steps backwards again. It's about knowing, okay, if this happens, it's not the end of the world. So it's trusting in yourself, trusting in your decisions, trusting that if it doesn't work, you know how to handle it. And that's the important part of dating. And also, most importantly, knowing how to communicate these things. Because when you're back into the dating world and you are a little bit nervous, you are a little bit cautious and you're not ready to open up completely just yet, then talk about it. Say that. Just say, this is where I'm at. I'm ready to start dating, but I'm still a little bit cautious, so I may not be ready to open up. I will just take it slowly though. That is the most important thing. When you're in the dating world, make sure you're always on the same page. Don't be scared to tell them everything, or not so much everything, but don't be scared to tell them where you're at and what you're expecting and what you're looking for in a relationship and in a partner. Because you don't want to end up where something doesn't work out and you're all of a sudden on Facebook venting and asking for opinions there, but you're not communicating with this partner. You're not communicating with them. So it's about believing in yourself, believing in your choices, and believing when something doesn't go right, you know how to communicate it with them. And having that confidence in yourself to do that. Okay, here's a big one. My ex keeps trying to turn the kids against me. She says little things to make them feel sorry for her and to doubt me. And it's breaking my heart. How do you deal with someone that just keeps bad-mouthing you behind your back? Now, this question here is a prime example of why it is so important to work on those breakup emotions. Because this here, what is happening in this scenario is villainizing their ex, is talking badly to their kids about their ex for no other reason than clearly they're pissed off at their ex because of what happened in the breakup, which is a bullshit situation. Because what happened in the breakup is between you as mum and dad, not between mum, dad, and kids. Your breakup is between you two. And it's really low and really shit and disgusting behavior when parents involve the kids like this. And they drag them in the middle and they try and get them to pick sides because their ego is hurt. So I want to feel better and make sure the kids like me better. It is not a competition as to which parent the kids like best. You're both parents and you both need to be showing up for their kids in the best way you possibly can. So when one person turns against the other parent and starts talking badly about them to the kids, first of all, it's a pretty disgusting reflection on their behavior. And second of all, what you do in this situation is you focus on your time with your kids. Now, if they're saying something to the kids and you're found out about it, it's probably because the kids are coming back to you and telling you what your ex has said. Now, going back to your ex and saying, you can't do that, stop doing this, stop telling the kids, your ex, if they're talking shit to your kids, they're not all of a sudden just going to stop doing it because you've approached them and told them to stop. They'll be like, ha ha ha, I've pissed them off. Watch me, I'm going to keep going. That'll probably excite them more. That'll probably want to give them the ammo to want to keep going even more, which is very shit and very childish behavior, to be honest with you. So when these things happen, cooperating, well, not so much cooperating, but talking to your ex is more than likely going to achieve very little. So what you do in this scenario is you talk to your kids. Because as I just said, if you're hearing this, it's because this information has come back to you from the kids. And when this happens, shut it down with them. Just say, no, these discussions should not be had with you. This is not true. This is not what's happening, and we don't tolerate the conversations like this. And if dad is saying this to you, or if mum is saying this to you, you need to tell them when they talk to you like this and say, no, you need to say this to mum, or you need to say this to dad. It is okay to tell the kids to shut it down. It is okay to tell the kids when the other parent is saying things to them that's not appropriate, for the kids to say, you talk to mum or you talk to dad. It is okay to tell them to do that. And realistically, you shouldn't have to be telling them to do that because the other parent shouldn't be. But when it does happen, because it does, and when it does, focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can do in that situation, because your ex is not going to listen to you. Your ex is not going to cooperate, and your ex is not just going to stop because you ask them to. So focus on your relationship with your kids. If your ex is trying to turn your kids against you, focus on your relationship. If you know you've got a strong bond with your kids, if you know you guys all get along and there's no issues, there's no breakdowns in any way with your relationship with your kids, then there's no problem. They're just being an arsehole and their ego is hurt and they're just trying to look like the favorite parent. It doesn't cut it. So just focus on your time with your kids. Focus on building a healthy relationship with them. Focus on having fun with your kids when they're with you. Focus on just creating a fun environment so they know when the other parent talks shit, they know it's not true. When the other parent talks shit, they know how to shut it down. Say, no, don't say that. Or no, you need to tell that to mum, or you need to say that to dad. They know how to not engage. And it's like I just said, it is okay to have these age-appropriate conversations with the kids to say, no, these are not conversations for me. I'm not getting involved. And as they get older, around teens, they can definitely know how to communicate that. They definitely know how to shut that down. But if you get to a place and you're feeling like your kids are being brainwashed by the other parent, just focus on building your relationship with them. Focus on being present for them. Focus on doing what you can to be involved in their life, especially if you're not the primary carer, because it does happen in a lot of situations when the person who isn't the primary carer is getting scolded or getting villainized as being the bad parent. So if this is you and you're listening and you're not the primary carer and you feel like your ex is making you out to be the bad parent, don't give up on your kids. Keep showing up. Keep being there. Keep turning up to school events. Keep showing up for birthdays and Christmas, buying their presents for special occasions, doing fun things when you have them on weekends or midweek or whatever else. Focus on your time you have with them. That is what's important. You build that strong relationship with them, then no matter what anyone says, they know it's bullshit. And that's what's important. So just remember, if you're in that situation where you're being made to look like the bad parent, focus on what you can control, which is your relationship with your kids. And when it gets to a place where your relationship is unbreakable, then no matter what your ex says, it just won't cut it. It won't land because the kids know that you're not that kind of person. The kids know that that's not true. So that's what you focus on. As much as it hurts, take it with a grain of salt and know that they're just being an arsehole. And focus on building your relationship with your kids. Focus on your time with them. And if need be, have those age-appropriate conversations of what is appropriate to discuss with them and what isn't, so they know when and when they should not get involved. Okay, last question. Since my breakup, my confidence is gone. I second-guessed everything, my parenting, everything I'm doing, I'm doubting myself. How do I build my confidence back up again? And sadly, when you're going through a breakup, or when you go through a breakup, I should say, that is one of the biggest things to take a big hit, your confidence. It's shattered because you've just gone through this breakup and you feel like, well, I failed. I failed my family. I failed my kids. I've let down my ex. It didn't work. It should have worked. I should have made it work. And you feel like you're not good enough. Well, I don't have a partner now. I don't have this. I don't have that. And maybe you've got an ex who's constantly putting stuff in your head and making you feel even more shit than what you are. So how do you build that up again? Well, this is what I do in my coaching. This is one of the biggest things we work through, and it's one of the biggest things I see a lot through my coaching. When people come to me and they just look like a shell of a person and they just look sad. And it's quite often I see people on the first sessions and the difference you see weeks, months down the track, it's like, wow, look at you. And that's what it's about. It's about building that confidence. And to build that up, you need to start building that trust again. You need to start believing in yourself. And a lot of times when people have lost their confidence after coming through a breakup, they're at that place of blaming themselves for everything. They're thinking that everything is their fault, and that's why their confidence is gone to the shit, because they've ruined this. They've failed. I'm not good enough now. I failed this. And it's about realizing that no, you haven't failed, but building it up again is a slow process. It's about taking these little steps where you learn to believe in yourself. You learn to realize, hold on, I do deserve better. I am worth more. I am worthy of doing this. I should get out and do this. That's where it comes from. Believing in yourself, having that trust in yourself that you know you can do it. You know you deserve better. You know you didn't fail. And it's so easy to take accountability for what we've done wrong. Well, actually, no, it's not always easy for some. But for most of you who are listening, and for most of you who are on that journey of wanting to do better for themselves, for you guys, it is easy to take accountability. You can say, yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, I could have done better. But it's not easy to take accountability for what you're good at, for what you can do right, for what your strengths are, which is a shame, isn't it? And that's where building your confidence comes in, about realizing your strengths, realizing what you're good at, realizing that you can take accountability, not just for your weaknesses, but for your strengths as well. And that is so important. Stop focusing on the glass half empty. Stop focusing on what didn't work or what went wrong in your world, and focus on what is going right. what you can do and what you've done in your life. Because I guarantee you there is probably a lot, but you're overlooking all these big accomplishments and all these big things that you've done in your life and just looking at the few small things that didn't work. And that's how you start to build your confidence, by looking at all the things that you can do and believing in yourself and knowing that, you know what, I can do this. I'm not that bad. I'm not a failure. Damn straight I can do this. So it's a slow process of taking those little steps to start to believe in yourself. That's where your confidence starts to grow again. Now, I told a little bit of a porcupine just, and I do have one more question, and it's a pretty heavy one. And this is, how do I co-parent or even prepare for the idea of co-parenting in the future with my ex who is actively using hard drugs when my priority is keeping my children safe? Now, first and foremost, I'm going to state here, I am not here to offer legal advice. So please do not say, oh, but Leanne said this, so this is what must happen. I'm here to give you advice and support when it comes to emotionally and mentally doing things in a better way. Legally, this is not my domain. But what I will say, exactly how that question was just ended, your focus is to keep your kids safe. Now, the sad thing is with this question, I have come across this scenario in multiple occasions. And it does happen. And unfortunately, it's these kinds of scenarios that can create a relationship breakdown. It can be the end of your marriage. It's pushed it too far. And to be quite honest with you, that is an absolutely fair reason to end a marriage or a relationship and to want to leave your partner. But when you're in this situation and you're working out how to co-parent, the biggest thing you can really focus on is this someone you want to co-parent with? And I know that may sound a bit harsh, but realistically, as the question said, it's not recreational, it's hard drugs. And me personally, I would not want my child or kids or anyone involved in someone's life who is doing hard drugs. Because one, how do you know they are going to be in the right headspace to parent your kids? Two, how do you know that they're not going to have other people coming and going from their house who are not going to be a good influence for your kids? So realistically, when you're co-parenting with someone like this, I use that word loosely because I don't really think you should be co-parenting with someone like this, because someone who is in this state, who is using hard drugs, they're not in a state to parent. They're not in a state where they can be responsible for two young kids. So really, I understand how some people want to keep this other parent in their life, or in the kids' lives, I should say, and they think that keeping the other parent involved is the best thing to do. 100%. And I'm never, ever the kind of person that would suggest depriving the other parent of seeing the kids. But I am suggesting that the kids should not be in this person's care until they can prove that they're stable enough to be a fit parent. Because at the moment, they're not. And you can't even guarantee that they're in the headspace to look after themselves. So how are they going to be looking after your kids? So me personally, as I've just said, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be co-parenting with someone who is doing hard drugs until I knew for 100% certain it was all gone. It was all out and they weren't involved and they were no longer doing it. And it may sound a little selfish, and depending on where you're at, you may be finding it hard to not let the kids go there. But at the end of the day, this parent has made that choice. Okay, they've chosen drugs and that lifestyle, and if they want the kids in their life, then they need to prioritize their kids by changing that lifestyle. And I understand you can't just say, yep, I'm stopping it and it's done overnight. It doesn't work that way. So I do understand that. But they need to get the help and the support they need to change that. If they want their kids in their life and they want to be a good role model for their kids, then they need to step up and be one. Because at the moment, if they're doing hard drugs and they may or may not have other people coming and going from their house, then they're not a role model for your kids. That's not someone you want your kids around. You don't know what risks are going to be there. You don't know what's in that house. You don't know what the kids may come across. You don't know what the kids may hear or see. It's too risky. And as I said, I'm not someone here that's going to offer legal advice. So don't take my advice and take it to a lawyer and say, this is what Leanne said. This is just my advice as a coach without any legal background or anything like that. But I would highly suggest that this person is not someone you'd want to be co-parenting with when you don't even know that they're in a state to look after themselves, let alone your kids. And that's your focus. As you said in your question, your focus is your kids. Keep your focus on your kids. Keep your focus on building your life. Keep your focus on creating a fun new world for you and your kids. And when your ex gets into a better headspace where they're able to prove that they can look after themselves and they can look after your kids, then yes, maybe so. But until then, I would not even be considering it. So that's a hard one to end it on. It's a bit of a deep, dark one. But like I said, unfortunately, these things do happen. And if they've chosen that option, they've chosen that path in life, it's a sad one. But it's not one that kids should be around. It's not one that kids need to be involved in. And that's something that they need to work on. So that's my questions. I hope you guys that were all listening to this and hearing everyone else's questions, it made it resonate with you, or it made it really hit home with you and made you think, yeah, okay, I've been through that and that really helped. Now I get it a bit more. So I really hope these questions and answers gave you some bit of extra support that might have helped you along your way. And I may do another one of these. It was quite good. I got a lot more responses than I was expecting. So I may do another one down the track. So stay posted for that. If you want to keep up to date on these Q&A sessions, then don't forget to follow me on my socials and subscribe to my email newsletter there as well. And if you are wanting some more support, if you are going through any of these scenarios that I've discussed in these questions here, then don't be scared to reach out and have a chat. And there is that free intro chat. There's no pressure with that. It's a casual chat just to get to vibe from me, see if I'm someone that you want to work with, and I hear your situation. I can get a bit of feel of what you're going through, and then I will just break it down of how we can work together going forward and what I will touch on and what we can work through and what are the biggest areas that I've seen from our intro chat that are the biggest challenges that we can really unpack going forward. So it's a great little free taster there that you can see if it's something that you're interested in. So if you are, the link to that is in the show notes, plus all my ebook support and everything else. It's all there. So thank you guys. I really hope you got something from this episode, and don't forget to give me a like, give me a review, give me your comments, and don't forget to follow so you get a reminder for each new episode that comes out each week, and share it with your single parent friends. Let's get the word, the Life After Plus One word out on the street, and let's support all our single parent friends out there. So thanks everyone, and thank you all for coming back week after week. Until next week, I'll be in your ears then.
Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplusone.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after plus one.